and about this.
Hello, am I properly audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for confirmation.
All the volunteers are kindly requested to turn their cameras on ASAP. So, good evening to one and all. A very warm welcome to this gathering of conscious minds and digital defenders. In this era, where our entire existence has a digital shadow, where every click, every swipe, every transaction creates an invisible trail, we stand at the crossroads of convenience and vulnerability. The digital world has given us wings, but it has also opened doors to threats that lurk in the shadows, waiting for one moment of panic, one hasty deletion, one wrong move. Before we embark on this crucial journey of digital awareness, let me share a timeless wisdom that resonates powerfully with our topic today. Vidya dadati vidyam, vinyadayati patratam, patritvat dharmamapnoti, dhanat dharmam tatha sukham. Knowledge gives discipline. From discipline comes worthiness. From worthiness, one gains prosperity. From prosperity, righteousness, and then happiness. This beautiful shlok from the Hitopadesh teaches us that knowledge is the foundation of everything good in life. In our digital world, knowledge about cyber safety is the foundation of our digital security and peace of mind. Today, we build that foundation together. I'm Shrishti Chaube, and it's my privilege to anchor today's transformative webinar on Don't Panic, Don't Delete Your Response After a Cyber Incident, brought to you through the powerful collaboration of NSS ARSD College and Project CyberShield. This is not just a webinar, this is a digital survival guide. This is your moment to transform from a vulnerable user into an empowered digital warrior. Because here's the brutal truth: in our digital age, cyber incidents are not a matter of if, but when. Every 39 seconds, somewhere in the world, a cyber attack strikes. Every day, over 2,200 attacks penetrate digital defenses. And the most shocking revelation: 95% of these breaches happen not because of sophisticated hacking, but because of simple human errors, a panicked response, a hasty deletion, a moment of confusion. The title of our session holds the golden rule: don't panic, don't delete your response after a cyber incident. Two simple commands in the first part: don't panic, don't delete. Just 6 words. But these could be the difference between recovering everything and losing it all, between justice and permanent damage, between security and chaos. Your response after a cyber incident determines your digital fate. Let me paint the reality we are facing. Your personal data, your financial information, your private conversations, your digital identity, all of it exists in a realm where one wrong move can cascade into catastrophe. When a cyber incident strikes, be it phishing, ransomware, identity theft, or data breach, your immediate response determines everything. Panic makes you delete evidence that investigators need. Panic makes you pay ransoms that fund more crimes. Panic makes you silent when you should be reporting. Panic turns victims into repeat targets. But knowledge turns panic into protocol, confusion into clarity, fear into action. And that's exactly why we are here today. To guide us through this critical territory, we have someone who stands at the dynamic intersection of law and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Mayura Manohar Sabne. Dr. Sabne is Assistant Professor of Law at United World School of Law, Karnavati University, Ahmedabad, specializing in information technology law, artificial intelligence, data privacy, and cyber law. With 14 years of combined experience spanning litigation, academia, and corporate leadership, she brings real world expertise to today's discussion. She holds a PhD in law with research on terrorism financing and cybercrime and is CIPPE certified, one of the most respected credentials in international data protection. Dr. Sabne has served as Head of Knowledge Management at Legacies Private Limited, specializing in data protection policies and training for national and international clients. She is a certified trainer in POXO and POSH, and her research paper, The Digital Future of Children's Rights, won the Best Research Paper Award at an international conference. Her work has been published in Scopus and Web of Science Index journals, and she currently guides two PhD scholars. So, without further ado, let us welcome the brilliant, the accomplished, the inspiring Dr. Mayura Manohar Sabne. Dr. Sabne, the virtual stage is yours. We are ready to be enlightened, empowered, and equipped.
Thank you, Srishti. That was a very nice ground setting for this whole webinar and the objective with which we are gathered herein. So, you have actually summarized the whole session in your brief introduction, but I loved it. Thanks a lot for setting the stage for the same and my lovely introduction as well. Hello everyone. This is a webinar. I completely understand it, but I would like to clarify one thing that I would like to have it as an interactive session rather than me talking. I would like you to put up the questions in a chat box so we can take up at the end rather than disturbing the whole flow. But I would also request you that if you have any questions in between, you can raise your hands and I will demand from the organizers as the right of my session that unmute themselves and they can ask the questions in between. Because this is the topic where I would like to also understand what other people think rather than me explaining the legal provisions which are dealing with the same domain which we are talking right now. So let me share the screen. I have made a brief presentation herein so that we all will remain focused on what we are talking about. Can you see my PPTs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So as elaborated by Srishti, today's our topic of discussion is don't panic, don't delete. Respond to a cyber incident. So she has rightly pointed out that every 93 seconds we are facing, rather, the global citizens are facing cyber incidents in one or the other form. And don't take the cyber incident that only big MNCs or the IT companies or the government agencies face it. We as a normal citizen also face it on a day to day basis. So, for example, let me share my own experience with you that 3 months before, I had a message from WhatsApp. WhatsApp is very commonly used now. Every citizen in India uses WhatsApp. So, then send me a message on my number that your phone is blocked. I didn't do anything. But 2 days before, I was receiving messages, and that to be on a continuous basis from one international number. The person was sending me the messages that you do not comply with our requirements, your account will be blocked. That was not a official message from the WhatsApp or the Meta. So I didn't pay attention to that. And ultimately, after 2 days, my WhatsApp was blocked. And when I put it for the review with the Meta, they gave me the reason that your phone was suspected for the spam messages, and that's why we have blocked it. So after the review, they unlocked it after 24 hours. The number was working well for next 15 days, and again the same thing happened. From the same numbers, I used to receive the same type of messages. I had the earlier experience, so I deleted them. But unfortunately, again my number went into the review list and it was blocked. Until today, it was blocked. So this is how we become the victim of the cyber incident. I don't know what was the actual incident that has happened. It may be a piece of a larger picture, but this is how every normal citizen can face the cyber incident or any kind of cyber misuse. My number was not being misused by myself for sending the spam messages, but it was becoming a target of the larger incident. So that's why Meta took the decision and it was blocked. So these are the different things which may happen with you at any point of time. So as a normal citizen, that is a digital citizen, first we need to understand why this message matters to us. That don't panic, don't delete. It seems very simple, but it has very crucial message for the digital citizen. So when we talk about the cyber incident, we need to understand that how we respond to that particular incident decides the further course of action. Suppose I delete it. Then next time when I want to file a case, what will I show to the police? मेरे पास क्या है? कुछ भी नहीं है. What people will believe? कि I am lying. So if you become panic and delete something which is actually a subject matter of criminal case, you are deleting that particular evidence. And all of you know, even a normal citizen also knows that evidence matters the most. And without evidence, court cannot take the action, police cannot catch anyone as the accused, and obviously you cannot get a justice. So, whatever is our first response to that particular cyber incident determines the further legal exposure for us. Again, I told you that if you don't have the evidence, court won't believe on you and you will not get justice. When you don't get justice, obviously, even if you are liable to get the compensation, you will not get it. So, ultimately, you are going to suffer irreversible legal damage. It means that आपको जस्टिस तो मिलेगा ही नहीं, जो भी आपको कंपेंसेशन मिलना होगा जिसने भी ये किया है वो कंपेंसेशन भी नहीं मिलेगा. So, panic driven action should always be avoided. That is the first important thing, that is, don't panic. Again, I am coming to the same point that if you delete the evidence, it will be violative of statutory and regulatory duties if you are working in MNCs, if you are representing as a lawyer of any organization. For example, when I used to work in a techno-legal company, I was representing that particular company before the statutory authorities for the data protection issues. In that particular thing, I realized one thing, that if we don't teach our clients that if you face a cyber incident, अगर आपके इस पे cyber attack होता है, तो don't become panic. You have to report the incidences to the regulatory authorities. You have to collect that evidence that this is what happened with us, and you have to be very, very open and transparent about that incident. It can happen with anyone. So we cannot say that कि हमारे साथ ही ये क्यों हुआ. Okay, it has happened, but we need to take up further action. So, as a part of any corporate also, there are certain statutory and regulatory duties towards this cyber incident. And that's why deletion actually violates these statutory and regulatory duties. And obviously, as we are gathered here to talk about certain social legal angle, we also need to understand that law expect processes and not the impulse. Like, I will try to relate this particular sentence to the normal incident also. Suppose को किसी ने गुस्से गुस्से में कुछ बोल दिया and you commit a murder. Obviously, law will not accept this. What law will say that अगर आपको गुस्सा आया था, you would have registered a case that the person is abusing me. There is a process to follow, not an impulsive decision to be made कि आपने उसे मार ही दिया. So this is how the things are also to be looked when we are talking about the cyber incidences. Now, to summarize, when we are talking about a cyber incident, we also need to understand that there are certain things which may happen, which may categorize into a cyber incident and which may not categorize into the cyber incident. So, for a simple understanding, we need to remember only these four things. Don't go into too much technical detail कि cyber incident means आपका data ही hack हो जाएगा, वो hack होने के बाद that will be misused for these many purposes. No need to go into those technicalities. Whenever any person is using your data, using your personal information in the online world without your consent, that is unauthorized access and it leads to cyber incident. So for example, आपने आपके फ्रेंड को आपका फोन दिया था, ओके, एंड विथ ट्रस्ट यू टोल्ड हिम द पासवर्ड ऑल्सो. नाउ व्हाट दैट फ्रेंड डज, पासवर्ड तो उसको पता है, ही अनलॉक्स द फोन एंड uses your WhatsApp to send a message to the third person. That is without your consent. So he has got the access to your phone, but not to your WhatsApp, not to the data on your WhatsApp. So he has accessed that particular information without your consent. So obviously it is unauthorized access and it may lead to cyber incident. Now let's take the same example where the person sends a nude image to a third person. Now you are doing a crime. Imagine that person hands over that phone back to you. You own the phone. You are the authorized accessor to that particular WhatsApp account. So who will be responsible? You will be responsible. So this is how the person becomes the victim of a cyber incident. without knowledge also that can happen. So we need to be very cautious when we are giving our phones or the passwords or the patterns or the pins to our friends also, because they can access the information unauthorizedly, they can commit the crime, and you will become ultimately the culprit. In reality, you are the victim, but law will not say that you are the victim. Law will take you as a culprit. Second thing, ransomware, malware, phishing, or fraud. These usually happens when we are talking about large scale financial data. Now everyone is using UPI. हम बहुत सारे वॉलेट्स यूज करते हैं, पेटीएम हो, गूगल पे हो, या फिर फोन पे हो. In all these scenarios, if you see, our wallet and our UPI ID is connected to our accounts. Now our accounts are actually also connected to the banking digital system. So suppose हमारा एक अकाउंट हैक हो गया, तो that person can get access to the whole banking digital system. This is nothing but a ransomware attack, malware attack, where a software is installed into one of the accounts and it can hack all the data which is available with that particular account and the related accounts. Fraud, you must be knowing that by stealing your digital identity. जैसे आप सबने अभी देखा होगा, now you are a student, so you must be using DG Locker. Or if you have traveled by airports, then they are having the system of DG Yatra. This is a government recognized platform where all your identification documents are stored. आपका आधार कार्ड हो, पैन कार्ड हो, ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस हो. Now in that DigiLocker you will also get your education credentials like 10, 12 certificates. So if someone accesses this DG Yatra or DG Locker, then in that case it gets access to your digital identity. मतलब आपका आधार नंबर उसे पता चल जाएगा. And you know, Aadhaar is linked with many things nowadays, with our bank account, with our educational documents. So, in all these circumstances, imagine the person will get access to all your digital identities wherever you are present. And in this scenario, by stealing your digital identity, the pulsar will commit a fraud. Now, this can happen in the commercial transaction. जैसे wrong person का आधार आईडी उसने यूज कर लिया and then he has purchased a property. He has stolen the money in the banks. So this is very common. It need not have any kind of legal knowledge to understand that if our digital identity is stolen, it can be misused. Another important cyber incident can happen when the large scale IT system are misused. So there are many legal cases where the persons working into the companies who has already the access to their IT systems has misused it. So there is very landmark case of Tata Indicom. Okay, so you must have heard this word. I don't know your generation has heard it or not. So Tata Indicom was a that a telecom industry service provider, and they launched certain phones where only their services could be used. But one of the employees actually hacked into that particular system and unlocked that system for the usage of other telecom providers as well. So this is nothing but the insider misuse of the IT systems. And it leads to the cyber incident. Obviously, imagine अगर आज आपको Apple phone बेच रहा है and they are telling you that we are providing the Airtel services free of cost to you on that particular Apple phone. Someone hacks into the system and starts selling the same Apple phone with the Vodafone services. It is a loss to the Airtel. It is loss to the Apple also because their reputation is also damaged. So in this way, the cyber incident affects not only the normal man, but also the large scale companies as well. Again, what are the consequences of this? It actually creates legal, regulatory, and criminal consequences. So legal में क्या क्या हो सकता है? Obviously, I gave you the example that if your phone is being misused by someone else, you can be arrested. Or if your data is being stolen, your digital identity is stolen, then you will become a victim. आपके पैसे जा सकते हैं. Regulatory में obviously there are certain requirements by these IT companies to preserve your data, to provide you cyber access, secure access, and obviously criminal consequences भी है, jail है, fines भरने पड़ेंगे. Now, when we talk about all these types of cyber incidences, the main crux of proving these cyber incidences is digital evidence. मतलब आपके पैसे चोरी हुए आपके वॉलेट से. How you will prove this before the court? First, you have to show that this is your wallet. Okay. So you have to give them the emails and access record. Now, all of you must be knowing that you have a UPI ID, which is very unique. Either it is attached to your phone number or your email. Okay. So in that case, you must prove before the court that this is my UPI ID. I have created it. So I have access to it. But unfortunately, someone else had access to it. In order to prove that, you need to have a log. Log means it is a time in which the person has entered into that system. So there can be system logs, server logs, that becomes a evidence. And once you actually prove that someone has unauthorizedly accessed your information, your API ID, and use it to commit a crime, stealing the money of yours, stealing the money of others, sending unauthorized messages, in that case, you need to have a database and cloud logs. Database and cloud log means if you are using a UPI ID to transfer money from one wallet to the another account, it is done now on the basis of clouds. Okay. Clouds means there is invisible space which holds like infinite data and all these transactions. उसका evidence cloud पे होता है. So cloud पे ये transfer कब हुआ उसका जो आप डेटा कलेक्ट करोगे that is known as database or cloud logs. So all these three are very important digital evidences if you want to prove that I have been a victim of a cyber incident before the courts, before the regulators, and before the investigators. Investigators are nothing but the police because in every police station now there is a cyber cell. Earlier this was not there, but as the cyber crimes has increased, every police station now has a cyber cell. And online also you can register a complaint, so they will start initiating the investigation immediately. Because you understand, this digital evidence is very fragile. Why I am using the word fragile? It's like glass. You have to handle it very carefully. If you break it, if you delete it, you don't have any evidence to prove before the court. Okay. Now, when we are talking about evidence preservation, if you take a decision in panic, बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि now I am a woman, there are many girls herein. If you receive a message from a guy which is actually talking about certain sexual things, किसी ने आपको एक nude picture भेज दिया, you get panic. आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मेरे फोन में ये आ गया है, someone should not see it. And in that panic mode only, we delete it. कि किसी को ना दिखे. But if that thing goes on happening again and we keep on deleting again and again, what you will prove before the court that this person was sexually harassing you? There is a cyber sexual harassment. So in that case, if you take a decision of panic deletion, you lose out the forensic integrity. Forensic integrity means there is some value to each and every digital evidence. And imagine, आज आपने delete कर दिया वो photo. How you will find that who has sent that photo? It's very difficult to retrieve the data. All of you must be knowing that if you want to unlock iPhone for retrieving these types of forensic evidences, you have to apply to their US head office. And they usually do not give this kind of permissions. So it really becomes difficult once you delete that particular evidence, you cannot retrieve it with that much ease. And this actually disturbs the value of that evidence. So the forensic integrity is lost. Second thing, now let's take the same example. आज उस लड़के ने आपको फोटो भेजा. Today you deleted it. Tomorrow he sends it again. Then you keep that photo. Okay. Next day he sends another photo and you delete it. It keeps on happening. So this is a chain. Okay. But you are breaking that chain with the help of your panic deletion decisions. Obviously, if you want to prove that from this date to this date, you are suffering from this cyber sexual harassment, court will ask that prove the chain of custody, that this photo was with that particular person at this date and he has sent you, then you have preserved it and then you are producing it before the court of law. So all must be aligned. This should be connected. If you are deleting something, you are breaking that chain. And once the chain is broken, it cannot be restored from the legal point of view. Another thing, if we go to the new laws, you must be aware that there are new criminal laws which has been implemented by this government of India. In that, we have got the Nyaya Sanhita and then Adhiniyam. Okay, this is Indian Evidence Act has been now turned into the Adhiniyam, which says that digital evidence will be equal to the documentary evidence. मतलब जैसे आप कोर्ट में डॉक्यूमेंट देते हो एविडेंस के हिसाब से, now you can produce these photos, these screenshot, videos, audios as it is before the court of law as evidence. You just need the certification from the cyber expert that also is helped by the police officers, that is now made mandatory. But imagine if you are able to prove that this evidence is genuine, it is in proper custody, then only the court will admit that evidence. If you are failing to prove this chain of custody and forensic integrity, automatically your digital evidence becomes inadmissible. So आप कितना भी कुछ भी कर लो, court will say that we will not admit it. And without evidence, you cannot get justice. So deletion in the mode of panic actually creates adverse legal inferences. जैसे, let's take the same example. If that particular girl deletes that photo, आपने आज फोटो डिलीट कर दिया, कल आपको फिर से फोटो आया, आपने वो भी डिलीट कर दिया. This is happening for multiple times. But suddenly you feel नहीं नहीं मुझे इसके खिलाफ कंप्लेंट करनी है, he is troubling me. And you go to the police. Police will say that आपने पहले के क्यों डिलीट कर दिए? That means police will have a suspicion over you that you were also consenting to receiving those messages. So in order to go to the police with clean hands, you always need to preserve the digital evidences. That's why when we delete something in digital space, automatically it creates adverse legal inferences against us. The suspicion automatically rises. Now, when we talk about the legal landscape, which is dealing with all these kinds of things which we are discussing right now, the digital evidence, cyber incidences, there are certain duties which are imposed under the Information Technology Act over the persons who are dealing with our data. So now we are taking the example of WhatsApp, Facebook, all social media, Instagram le lo, Snapchat le lo. They are managed by certain large entities like Meta. Okay. So these entities, they have been imposed with the legal duties that if you are providing cyber services to the common citizens, it is your duty to protect their data. So if you are submitting your photo to the Facebook through a Facebook post, Facebook should provide a proper security to your photo so that it should not be misused. So Facebook has to adhere to the reasonable security practices. That's why you must be knowing that there are security settings, privacy settings which are provided by each and every social media account. And that is their legal duty because they are providing you the services. You are paying them the fees. Whenever we are purchasing data, through are the telecom service providers, that part of that purchase goes to these social media service providers as well, obviously. So they are bound to provide certain cyber security measures to your data. Second thing, they have the duty to protect your sensitive personal data. Now, there is a new law which has totally taken this responsibility from the IT Act, that is the Digital Data Protection Act. So, we are going to talk about it in a minute. But under the IT Act also, since beginning, since 2000, under Section 43A, there was a duty over these particular data collectors, data processors to protect the sensitive personal data. Now, what is this concept of sensitive personal data? Because this is the important subject matter of any cyber incident. Sensitive personal data means your personal identification information like your birth date, your blood group. Second thing, it will include your financial data. Imagine if you lose out the money, you will be in trouble. Then it includes your health records. If someone wants to kill X person, he will try to understand his medical history. So, this medical records also becomes a sensitive personal data. And fourthly, your opinions. Agar, now I don't support any kind of a political group herein, but अगर ruling party के against किसी को कुछ बोलना है, तो first the person will try to study the opinions with respect to the political, ethnicity, race. So this is also sensitive personal data. So all these kinds of personal data has to be protected by that entity, the corporate house, which is collecting your data. So अगर कोई हॉस्पिटल में आप जाते हो और आपका मेडिकल हिस्ट्री वो कलेक्ट कर रहा है, so they have the duty to protect it. They cannot sell that data to the third person because automatically it will lead to the cyber incident. Again, under the IT Act, obviously, if you are registering the complaint with the Meta कि आपका data अच्छी तरह से preserve नहीं कर रहा है, and they do not give you a proper response within the given timeline, that means they are not taking care of your data. And this will lead to the compensation, and automatically the person who is responsible to protect your data will go behind bars. So these are the generalistic provisions under the IT Act with respect to your data protection and cyber security. I'm not going into too much details because we are here to understand from a layman's perspective. Now, the government has constituted one agency which is known as Cyber Incident Response Team, Emergency Response Team, that is known as a CERTIN. CERTIN means Cyber Incident Response Team in India. Okay. So this CERTIN takes care of all the cyber incidences, try to collect the information related to the cyber incidences and provide the legal remedy to the affected victims. So CERTIN has given the mandatory guidelines that suppose अगर सोशल मीडिया अकाउंट पे आपके साथ कोई साइबर इंसिडेंट होता है, इफ यू डू नॉट रिपोर्ट इट, द सोशल मीडिया ओनर, दैट इज द मेटा, they have to report to the cyber incident within 6 hours of that happening. Again, they have to preserve all the digital evidence in terms of logs for minimum 180 days. They cannot delete it from their system. If they delete it, it will amount to regulatory violation and automatically it will attract the penalties to be paid. And ultimately, if you have registered a cyber complaint, then these agencies has to cooperate with you. These agencies has to cooperate with the police authorities to give access to their logs, to their servers, so that evidences can be collected and the chain of custody can be established. Just now I told you that the Indian government has gotten this new law, that is the Digital Data Protection Act in 2023. Recently, November 2025, it has become fully operational. That means now, if anyone is collecting your personal data, including your name, phone number, birth date, they have to protect it at any cost. All of you must be visiting Pizza Hut or McDonald's or KFC. ओके, देयर दे आस्क योर फोन नंबर कि सर आपका फोन नंबर बता दीजिए, आपको बिल उस पे आ जाएगा. अगेन योर ऑर्डर विल ऑल्सो बी प्रोड्यूस्ड. कहीं भी जाओ आपका फोन नंबर मांग लेते हैं वो, एंड वी गिव इट वेरी इजीली. बट हैव यू ऑब्जर्व्ड कि अगर आप आज मैकडी का आउटलेट विजिट कर रहे हो, तो दूसरे दिन आपको किसी फाइनेंशियल कंपनी से फोन आता है कि सर आपको लोन लेना है क्या. हाउ दिस इज पॉसिबल? उनको आपका नंबर कहां से मिला? फ्रॉम दैट मैकडी आउटलेट. So please make sure that whenever you are giving your phone numbers or the personal information, even for that matter, date of birth, then ask them to take your consent. Now, this is made mandatory under this DPDP Act. Earlier, it was not there. आपको वो मांगते थे, हम दे देते थे. But now you have a right to deny it legally. I don't want to give it. If you want to send me the receipt, send me on the mail ID or give me a hard copy. That is absolutely fine. And if you observe, आपको अगर ऐसा लगा कि मैंने कल मैकडी में नंबर दिया था और आज मुझे बजाज फाइनेंस से फोन आ रहा है कि लोन ले लो, it means that your data has been sold, and then you can register a complaint against MACD outlet for selling your data. And MACD has to compensate you. So under this particular DPDP Act, now these entities are held responsible for personal data breaches, and if they delete the data which is related to the cyber incident, they have to pay you the compensation. And again, there is a data protection board जिसके पास आप complaint register कर सकते हो. If you register a complaint and if the data protection board comes to the conclusion that there has been a deletion, there is no accountability, then the fine goes up to 250 crore rupees. So imagine the value of fine which has been imposed under this DPDP Act. So it is more stringent law when we are talking about cyber incidences, because obviously cyber incidences in normal man's perspective happens when their personal data is breached. So again, now law is there to help you out. So we have to take a proactive action that we should not delete the evidences. We should preserve it so we can take the action. We can hold that person liable कि हम मैकडी को कल जाके पूछ सके why you sold my number to Bajaj Finance. I'm just giving a hypothetical examples. Please don't take it कि ये ऐसा करते ही है. Okay. But this is my experience also. I got a car 3 years back, and after that I started receiving calls from any person like मतलब आपको ये लेना है क्या, वो लेना है क्या? No, I don't want to get it. So this is how the data is being sold. अब बहुत सारे लोगों को ऐसा लगता होगा कि डार्क वेब में ही डेटा सेल होता है. नो, इट इज अ वेरी कॉमन प्रैक्टिस which is engaged by these MNCs as well. Now, when we talk about our message for the today's session, we need to understand that क्रिमिनल लॉ पर्सपेक्टिव से भी डेटा प्रिजर्व करना, एविडेंस प्रिजर्व करना इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. Obviously, if you delete the evidence, it destroys the electronic evidence. The police cannot investigate properly. Now, आपने बहुत सारे सीरीज देखे होंगे, क्राइम पेट्रोल देखा होगा, उसमें जो भी सीसीटीवी कैमरा का भी जो भी डेटा निकलता है, that is also digital evidence. And cyber incident में तो digital evidence is the crux, is the soul. If you delete it, you cannot ask the police officers to investigate effectively. You cannot ask the police officer to catch hold of the offender immediately. Because in cyberspace, though you delete something, kahi to digital footprints rehte hai, but these digital footprints can be easily accessible only when you have that original evidence with you. And in fraud and ransomware cases, it's very important to have a preservation of digital evidence. So, criminal law perspective के हिसाब से भी, if you want to punish that criminal who has done that cyber incident with you, you have to take a very cautious decision of not deleting that particular thing. Now, from the corporate governance perspective, when you grow up in your career, you will become lawyer somewhere into a big MNC, where you are looking after their data protection things, or when you are providing cyber security guidelines to them. consultancy to them, you have to take into your consideration companies are also responsible for avoiding cyber incidences. So the company should map out कि अगर मैं मेरे क्लाइंट से ये डेटा कलेक्ट कर रहा हूं तो what kind of cyber risk is poses. When bank is collecting your personal information, obviously bank is the custodian of your money, so they have to understand कि किस किस लाइन से ये मनी स्टीलिंग हो सकता है. देन एडहॉक रिस्पॉन्सेस, अगर कंपनी ने डिसाइड किया कि ओके एक कस्टमर का मनी चला गया, ठीक है हम उसके लिए कंपेंसेशन दे देते हैं, दिस विल नॉट हेल्प देम इन अ लॉन्गर टर्म. पीपल व्हेन दे गेट टू नो कि इस बैंक में मैंने पैसा रखा है लेकिन इट गेट स्टोलन थ्रू द साइबर इंसिडेंसेस, देन नो वन विल डिपॉजिट द मनी. You must be knowing that. I will give you a very simple example. Flipkart and Amazon. Okay. Flipkart started first they in this particular e-commerce sector. बहुत सारे लोग पहले फ्लिपकार्ट से परचेस करते थे. When deliveries, they got to know that वहां पे बहुत सारा काउंटरफिट आ रहा है. Amazon तब तक बहुत छोटा था इंडिया में. But when the Flipkart started sending counterfeit goods, ट्रस्ट लोगों का कम हो गया. And now you don't see Flipkart to the scale of Amazon. Amazon is everywhere. Flipkart is trying to match to the scale of Amazon. So Flipkart tried to resolve the matters on ad hoc basis. कि चलो एक कस्टमर को काउंटरफिट गुड गया है तो मैं दूसरा दे दूंगा. But it escalated. So the cumulative response was the Amazon took over Flipkart. This is how when we talk about cybersecurity measures, the company needs to have a strong response. The company need to show that they have all the documentation related to that particular incident. So automatically they will not face any kind of a criminal liability. क्योंकि you must be aware that कंपनी ने कुछ प्रॉब्लम कर दिया, साइबर सिक्योरिटी नहीं प्रोवाइड की, तो डायरेक्टर्स विल गो बिहाइंड द बार्स. सो द कॉर्पोरेट liability, the liability is also, sorry, the liability is also very high. Now there is also another aspect herein, that when you go into your careers, this is a future prospect which I am giving to you, that अगर साइबर कवर लेते हो किसी चीज के लिए, in that case if you delete something, your insurance covers will become void. You cannot use it. In contracts also, evidence preservation is mandatory. For example, if you purchase a phone and उस फोन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम होता है, फोन से आपका डेटा स्टील हो गया, you need to have that evidence preserved कि I had this data, this is the purchase date, and from you where you got it. So it is nothing but a contract which you are preserving. So when we are talking about cyber insurances and contracts, this is very emerging crucial area where your vigilance matters the most. Now, to come towards the ends, to come towards a conclusion, obviously, you need to have a sound incident response flow. From normal person also, if you face any kind of a cyber incident, आपको कोई पिक्चर भेजता है, आपका डेटा स्टील होता है, डेटा ब्रीच होता है, पैसे चले जाते हैं अकाउंट से, किसी दूसरे के अकाउंट में चले जाते हैं, just stay calm and don't delete anything. Isolate the systems. Means if you know from this WhatsApp account I am having the problems, do not touch it. But it doesn't mean that पूरा WhatsApp uninstall कर दो. Do not wipe the whole incidences. Preserve logs, emails, backups. Now, if you are using the smartphone, try to have a backup over the clouds. It's safe than the phone, because if your phone gets stolen, your data gets stolen. But if you have preserved things on the clouds, you can retrieve it on the other devices, and they can you can immediately stop from the further crimes from happening. Document, report, and investigate. Obviously, this is a very important message. Like if you receive any kind of unwarranted cyber messages in any form. Maybe it's a mail, maybe it's a social media message, or it may be a simple WhatsApp message in your chat groups or anywhere. Try to document it by taking a screenshot. Try to report it immediate to the cyber cell. You can do the online reporting also, and try to find out also on your own that where you have shared your personal information into the cyberspace. So it will help you out to understand that these things should not happen with you again, and police officers will also get a help from you. So from the today's discussion, these are the key takeaways from my side. That always remember, panic destroys the evidence, and as a very vigilant digital citizen, we need to preserve this evidence. Deletion increases the liabilities. As I told you, that if you delete something, you have to prove it with more hard evidences. बहुत कन्विंस करना पड़ेगा पुलिस ऑफिसर को कि नहीं मेरे साथ ये हुआ ही है. So it becomes really difficult to prove that you are a victim. And obviously, if you preserve, automatically your vigilance will show that yes, you are the victim. So your compliance will be ensured. On the side of a company, corporate, obviously your legal liability will be reduced. And obviously, as a corporate representative, think from that perspective that process protects the organization. If you have a process which is already set, then you can prove before the regulators, the investigators, as well as the police authorities that we had the process, we have immediately informed you. That's why our liability is reduced. And finally, to conclude, always remember, cyber incidences are legal events. They are not just the criminal activities. Crime kya hai? That is also a legal event. So, in order to get justice, we need to have responsible behavior. And our response also defines our liabilities. कि चलो हमने evidence preserve करके रखा है, we have not deleted it in panic, we have responded it with a particular responsive behavior, हमने cyber cell को भी inform कर दिया, then automatically our liability is fulfilled. And lastly, when you face any kind of cyber incident, pause, think, do not take action immediately. Try to preserve the incidents of that particular cyber incident, protect the future things which are there with you. Suppose आपके पेटीएम वॉलेट से पैसे चले गए, immediately block it, but do not uninstall it, and try to use your further transactions on other app, not on the Paytm, till you feel protected therein. And obviously try to respond to that particular incident in a informed way, knowledgeable way, by cooperating with the investigation agencies, by providing all types of support in terms of digital evidences, and by being very clear and transparent about your cyberspace presence. So all these things matter when we talk about the cyber security in terms of the don't panic, don't delete message. So my message is already delivered. Now the floor is open for questions, I think, Srishti.
Yes, ma'am. What a transformative session that was. The knowledge shared today isn't just information, it's armor. It's your digital shield in an increasingly connected world. Remember the five commandments: don't panic, don't delete, do document, do disconnect, do report. In the digital world, ignorance is vulnerability, but knowledge is power. Stay alert, stay prepared, stay protected. And now, to bring today's powerful session to a close and express our heartfelt appreciation, let me invite Vaishnavi to the virtual stage for the vote of thanks. Vaishnavi, over to you with all the energy and gratitude.
Vaishnavi, there is one question which I would like to address here in a chat box. I could see it. So, in cases of online blackmail or sextortion, what is the safest first step for the victims? To call the cybersecurity cell. Dial 100, they will immediately transfer your number to the cybersecurity cell and they will register your complaint. 1083, that is also a new number which is recently launched by Ministry of Home Affairs to report the cyber incidences. So in case of online blackmail or sextortion, try to take the screenshot of all those images, messages which the person is sending and immediately report the matter on that particular platform also. So if you see, if on a Facebook you receive such kind of messages, immediately you can report it. On WhatsApp also, you can report the message from the unknown sender. Immediately it shows you the options that report. And if there are five or more messages, it will directly go into that review and WhatsApp will block it. So that is the first important step which the victims has to take. Second thing, there is another question by Sanskar that how to identify fake links, phishing emails, and scam calls. Okay, so if you remember, there are particular domains from which we receive the mails. For example, अगर बैंक से आपको मेल आ रहा है तो बैंक का domain will be there @hdfc.in. hdfc.com is not there. So from these kinds of things, you can immediately identify whether the mail is fake. And always remember, whatever you receive, आपके नंबर पे ऊपर लिखा है you have got this much amount of money credited to your account immediately, click on this link, it is always fake. No one sends that kind of message. There are clear cut RBI guidelines in this regard. Now the questions are coming up. Sorry Srishti, I am taking it up because I think we need to address them. So the another thing which the person is asking, Harshit, can digital footprint be deleted? Yes, it can be deleted. There are many softwares into the dark web which help to delete the digital footprints. That's why I gave you the information that Apple has the strongest cybersecurity system into the world, but it's really difficult to have access to that once it is deleted. So they are also enabled to deep penetrate into this dark web. So yes, digital footprints can be deleted. And what kind of digital actions unintentionally destroy evidence? I gave you the example. फोटो आ गया मेरे इसमें, मैं पैनिक हो गई कि मेरे मम्मी पापा देख लेंगे ना, आई डिलीटेड इट. This is the unintentional action. You did not have the intention. You were never wrong. आपको पता है लेकिन आप डर जाते हो. That's what where we are herein. So in all these cases, and again Saksham is asking public Wi-Fi use mat karo, please don't fall prey to that because it's always very much vulnerable. We are god gifted into this particular cyber citizenship that we are getting free data. So use your free data to the maximum with the lowest cost. Don't go on a public Wi-Fi. Okay. Okay, now all the questions are on the similar line. So I will answer last one question here about the e-commerce and those things. कि आपने कल Amazon पे कुछ तो purchase किया था and today on Facebook you are getting those ads. Everything is interconnected. They are reading your minds. So if you have seen that series Asur 2, please do watch it. It is the reality of the cyberspace nowadays, that they keep on observing you at all the points of time. And now I put up this particular webinar poster. Tomorrow I will see something about cyber incidences and everything on my all subscription pages. I know that. So this is how you are getting monitored. So Srishti on the first line inform you that knowledge is only the tool to deal with all these kinds of things which are happening with us. So there are many more questions. I won't go into that. So Srishti, if you are comfortable, I will answer those questions if you send me over the mail. So the participants will be happy later.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Srishti, for inviting me. Now, and before we formally conclude today's powerful session, remember, this is not the end, but the beginning. If today's discussion sparked a sense of responsibility in you, if you feel inspired to create impact, spread awareness, and become a protector in the digital space, then we have something meaningful for you. Naksh Foundation, under Project CyberShield, is inviting passionate individuals to join us as cyber trainers and cyber warriors. This is a opportunity to turn learning into action and become part of a national movement for digital safety. The project Cyber Shield team will be sharing the registration form in the group immediately after the session. We encourage all interested participants to fill it out and take the next step in this journey of impact. And on behalf of everyone, I extend our sincere gratitude to Project Cyber Shield for their valuable collaboration in organizing this insightful webinar on Don't Panic, Don't Delete, your response after a cyber incident. We are deeply thankful to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Mayura Manohar Sabni from Karnavati University, for sharing her expertise and practical insights on cyber incident response. Her session has greatly enhanced our understanding of handling cyber threats calmly and responsibly. We also appreciate all the participants for their active presence and engagement. Also, if anyone has any doubts or questions, they are welcome to ask our guest speaker, Dr. Mayura Manohar Savne.
So there are questions. Shall we do
Anyone,
it? It will take a lot of time.
anyone? Okay, so lastly, we thank everyone who contributed to the successful conduct of this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.